Natural disasters like the Los Angeles wildfires certainly leave physical damage, but there is also a significant toll regarding mental health. For many, including first responders, the trauma can lead to post-traumatic stress disorder, or PTSD. So I want to talk about the emotional impact with our mental health expert, Dr. Sheryl Zeigler. I think we throw around PTSD without really understanding what it is. So why don't you give us a synopsis of PTSD and why it's so important?
Yeah, and you are exactly right. People use this term very freely, but PTSD is a response to a traumatic event in which you usually have avoidance, you have intrusive thoughts, you have difficulty sleeping, nightmares, and flashbacks. So those are the hallmark signs. Now, within the first 30 days of after experiencing or responding to, you might expect that. But past a month, if that's still happening and even potentially getting worse, then that's when you want to seek out treatment. That's when it goes from an acute stress disorder to potentially a post-traumatic stress disorder, which untreated can really lead to very concerning behaviors like increases in alcohol, drug use, obesity. There's really a lot of repercussions from untreated PTSD.
And I know everybody that's been experiencing this or lost a home could be experiencing it, but also first responders are at high risk. And why is that, and how in the world, because that's their job, how do they get past it?
Yeah, so when it comes to first responders, about 1 in 3 first responders actually will get PTSD sometime throughout their careers. Sure. Highest on there are paramedics and EMTs. They're the first ones to arrive on a scene. Then that's followed by firefighters and then police officers. So that's part of the way you ask the question is part of the problem. So because this is what they signed up for, they know this is the job, there's this stigma sometimes within their world that, you know, this is part of the job. No, you don't get treatment or just deal with it, or we all have to show up at a fire or at a terrible car accident. And so a lot of times people suffer in silence because they don't want to ask for the time off. How am I going to get treatment? How am I going to tell everybody else on my team that I'm experiencing these intrusive flashbacks, or I'm agitated, I'm irritable, I'm jumpy, I'm hypervigilant? And so they are having it at higher rates, and we need to talk about this so that they really have the support and the culture that anybody experiencing these kind of symptoms gets help.
We watch these first responders all the time, and we were always amazed at the training and how they put their training to work in these incredibly critical minutes and seconds. Are they also trained as far as the mental aspect of the job? I get the feeling they didn't used to be, but are they now? And is there training that can help or prepare you for something that might be horrific, the likes of which you'd never seen?
Yeah, I think you're right. I think the history of first responders is that they didn't get very much mental health training at all. And now, yes, in the last couple of years, we see some more. I think it can vary how much they actually get. But I think the truth of the matter is that it's probably not enough. And I think more is probably needed there. And particularly, you know, there's also been a lot of emphasis on their training to recognize mental health symptoms in other people, but really to be able to come back and say, but what about within yourself? And what do you do when you live in this kind of shift environment? You've got a partner. How do you say, yeah, I think I might need some time off?
Can you train for that? Can you train to, I mean, as far as recognition, you can't train to prepare for what you're going to see and how you'll react to it, I don't think.
Yeah, but I think you raise a good point, because psychologists and people in the mental health field, we do have training around how we deal. I mean, we don't see the same sort of traumatic images firsthand like that, but we deal with this sort of longer and compassion fatigue where we're hearing people's problems and their traumatic stories, so then we can have vicarious traumatization. You do have training. A lot of it is around sharing with family members and others and talking about it and not just being in silence. That's really sort of one of the first steps.
Yeah, we all need to be aware of that, especially those close to them, because sometimes the trigger is a family that looks like yours or something, and you may have been doing it for years, and then all of a sudden you're thinking, oh, you know, it's different.
Absolutely. A smell, a sound, it can be things that, you know, nobody would know except for that person. So yeah, triggers are all around.
Well, I certainly be following these people who've been put into it again in Southern California. All right, Dr. Sheryl Zeigler, thanks again.
Thank you.